The hidden horrors of medieval women's prisons: shaved, starved, branded, tortured. Imagine iron doors slamming shut behind you. Torchlight flickers along damp stone walls. The air reeks of mold, sweat, and despair. For women thrown into medieval European jails, whether guilty, accused, or simply inconvenient, this was not legend. It was the brutal reality of incarceration. The moment a woman crossed that threshold, her identity began to be erased. In many prisons across England, France, and the Holy Roman Empire, one of the first acts was shaving her head completely. Hair was more than vanity in the medieval world. It symbolized modesty, femininity, honor. Stripping it away was deliberate degradation, a public declaration that she no longer deserved dignity. Shackles followed. Iron bilboes clamped around ankles, chains bolted to walls, or heavy fetters linking wrists to iron rings. Records from 13th century York and London describe women held in these restraints for months, sometimes years, regardless of the crime. Prisons were not designed for reform. Most were dark, wet extensions of castles, monasteries, or town halls, cramped stone chambers where women were mixed indiscriminately with male thieves, debtors, murderers. Separate quarters for female inmates were almost non-existent before the late 15th century. As the German jurist Ulrich Tengler wrote in his 1509 legal manual Lehenspiegel, women were to be confined and abased. The goal was not correction. It was humiliation, isolation, and breaking the spirit. **** Starvation cells. Slow death in the forgotten depths. ***, not every punishment required whips or racks. Some were silent, invisible, and just as lethal. Deep beneath the main dungeons lay the hunger cells, windowless pits, sometimes barely larger than a coffin standing upright. In 14th century France, these were known as oubliettes, literally forgotten places. Women accused of moral offences, suspected witchcraft, or simply inconvenient, were lowered through trapdoors, often never to be retrieved. Official records rarely mention starvation as a sentence, but denial of food was routine. In English jails, women held for adultery or vagrancy were sometimes kept on minimal ration, stale bread and water, or nothing at all for days or weeks. Without sanitation, warmth, or light, bodies failed quickly. Lice, sores, dysentery, and septic infections finished what hunger started. Many screamed for days before silence fell. Their deaths were rarely documented. Bodies were disposed of in unmarked graves outside the walls. The oubliette was not punishment, it was erasure. A woman lowered into that darkness was neither executed nor released. She simply vanished. The message to others was chilling. Accusation alone could make you disappear. ***, branded for sin, permanent marks of shame. ***, in medieval Europe, crime and sin were inseparable. Women accused of adultery, prostitution, or living immorally often faced punishments that made disgrace visible for life. Branding was one of the cruelest. By the 14th and 15th centuries, English and Scottish courts branded repeat offenders, vagrants, and women labelled as night walkers, a euphemism for suspected prostitutes. A 1424 Scottish Act allowed marking idle or immoral women with hot iron. In England, Bridewell Palace, converted to a house of correction in 1553, regularly whipped and branded women charged with vice. The mark was usually placed on the cheek, hand, or shoulder, letter A for adultery, V for vagrant, or a simple cross. It was not just pain, it was permanent social death. A branded woman could not return to normal life. Neighbors, employers, even family saw the scar and knew her shame. As the 15th century English jurist Sir John Fortescue wrote, "Punishment must be visible so others may fear and not fall." For women, branding turned the body into a billboard of condemnation. The flesh spoke louder than any defense. ***, witch trials behind bars. Torture before the verdict. ***, long before any trial, many women accused of witchcraft endured months or years of imprisonment and systematic torture. The goal was not justice, it was confession. After the 1487 publication of the Malleus Maleficarum, inquisitors across Germany, France, Italy, and Switzerland routinely used torture during interrogation, even when the accused was legally presumed innocent. The strappado was common, arms bound behind the back, hoisted by rope, then dropped repeatedly, dislocating shoulders. Thumbscrews crushed fingers. The boot compressed legs with wedges until bones cracked. The rack stretched the body to tearing point. These were applied to extract names of supposed accomplices, fueling chain accusations that destroyed entire communities. In some German towns, torture led to the near eradication of female populations. The prison cell became a pre-trial chamber of pain. Confessions were not voluntary, they were forced. Women screamed, named others, and often died before any verdict. The system did not seek truth. It sought control. Fear of accusation alone kept women silent and obedient. Medieval prisons for women were never about justice. They were instruments of patriarchal terror, shaving heads, starving bodies, branding skin, breaking minds. They reinforced that a woman's worth, dignity, and very existence could be erased at the whim of authority. Their suffering was absorbed by cold stone and forgotten ledgers, yet it echoes whenever power polices morality. How do you think these cruelties reflected and reinforced the fears and values of medieval society? Comment below.